Director of Bands at Florida Memorial University. For me, it's a great honor to be here for so many reasons. First of all, I grew up in Miami Gardens. I went to Florida A&M University, and I returned to Miami Gardens and taught in South Florida as a music educator for 35 years. To have the opportunity to start the program at Florida Memorial, one that did not exist before, and to be able to build it the way I feel like bands should be built, it was a testament to faith and what God can do when you hope for something. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity right now to be a part of this manifestation. I've known Don for a long time, and to see a vision that he's had and the people that he's surrounded himself with, to have this whole weekend to be manifested in this moment and be a part of it, is a great experience for me, and I'm really happy for my students and for all of our students to be a part of this. So thank you again to all of you that are a part of it.
At this time, if you have a question, please raise your hand. When you're recognized, please say your name and your affiliate and who you address the question to. Young man right here.
Hello, Rashad Milligan from Rolling Out. Don, the question for you I have, obviously, what are some of the things that you guys are looking for when you are looking at all the bands throughout the season for, you know?
I speak on behalf of our chairs and our committee that's not here today. Our chairs are Dr. Julian E. White, Director of Bands Emeritus, Florida A&M University, Professor Dow Taylor, the Director of Bands Emeritus at Jackson State University. We also have with those a 12-member committee that represents retirees, that represents the present Division I band directors, Division II band directors. And what the committee looked for, and when I said I got it right, there are 5 areas. And we're going to have a 6th category for the finals. The 5 categories being musicality, how well the band plays, and their musical presentation. That's always first and foremost. That's the highest scored area. Pictures, drill, and design. You know, what you're looking at on the field, whether the formations are legible, clear to the common person, the fans. The percussion section, you know, how well they play along with the band, not just at the section, and what they add to the band. The auxiliaries, in terms of their, and I say auxiliaries, auxiliaries being dance, flag, what am I missing, guys? Majorettes, that, you know, that's the whole part, and then the drum majors being a bigger part of it. The other area, the 6th area that's going to be added is general effect. That's what the committee decided to do, because they're watching the videotapes, but they want to add a general effect category in terms of how does the presentation come across to the fans at the actual event. So that's the only thing that would be different than the preliminaries in terms of the adjudication. That's what the committee, I don't have a vote, so I won't get any eggs thrown at me, please. I just kind of organize it, but the committee, they watch it and they adjudicate, and I kind of coordinate everything in terms of setting everything up for them.
Charles Bishop, Dr. Cavils, inside the HBCU Sports Lab. And I wanted to ask this question to the band directors in regards to, with the growth of social media and especially podcasts dedicated to essentially critiquing band performances week to week, how difficult is it to create something new for essentially each performance?
At A&T, we have a show planning committee, and so we actually begin that process in March for the next year. And so we design shows up to like 5 or 6 shows that month. And so that way, throughout the course of the year, we're working new shows and keeping content fresh and doing things like that.
All right, for us, it's always paying attention to who the audience is. Like you said, with social media and the podcast, our audience is much broader because it's not just the people in the stands. It's also the culture of the day. So we have to consider what's popular right now, what's popular in the moment, and that changes from month to month. So our show planning committee is always considering what are the TikToks out there, what are the hottest songs out there, what is that hottest dance that just came out, and we incorporate that in our shows as we find them to be most popular at that moment. And so that's the plan. That's what we've been able to do to keep up with the changes in the social media era.
If I could add something about the social media aspect of it, when I was trying to sell the concept to the band directors starting back in 2016, 2017, it wasn't an easy, road right away. It wasn't. I'm letting you know, these guys know it. but there are so many polls and rankings out there. It became a selling point for me. And I said that you're being judged on a weekly basis by Bebe in his mama's basement that's telling you how to be a better band director in the band. And I said, there are no adjudication polls by your peers or your music educators. There are none. I pulled up at least, I sent them to them in a presentation. There were more than 20 that I found, but there was not a single one that was by band directors, for band directors. And that became a major selling point because now you can get feedback from your peers. And again, just these guys, while they're here, I'm not just trying to say it, they never ran from the competition, neither one of them. You know, some were uncomfortable with it, but these guys were like, you know, bring it on. You know, we're ready. Florida Memorial, you know, you have thanked us a million times because you said we knew we had a good band program, but now it's validated because people can see it on a nationwide and it's come from the peers. So it was an easy process for a lot of these guys to be evaluated, but the selling point was that there's so many rankings out there. You will need something that's valid from your peers, and that actually helped us in the long run.
Hi, Nadira here with Acid Entertainment Productions. How are you all this afternoon? Awesome. So you guys just mentioned that there's so many rankings that are happening amongst different social media platforms. There's also so many Battle of the Bands that happen across the nation. With this one being actually judged and there being a winner being called out at the end of this culmination of this event, how do you guys feel about that for your program and what it's going to do for HBCU marching band programs in its entirety? And that anyone can answer that. I would love for all of you to answer.
By saying, I think it's good for the culture. I think having ratings of things of this nature sets a standard. It provides a rubric for all of us to elevate. When you have a rubric that's established by directors, longtime directors like you know, Professor at Jackson State and at FAMU and those many other directors that have been doing this for a long time, they're setting a precedence as to what the standard should be. So we're talking about musicality, balance and blend, articulation. Those things are standard to anything that's a good piece of music or good performance music. So what we're doing here is, I think, having a winner based on a rubric, a set standard, a rubric, sets the tone and the standard for everyone, whether you're in this competition or not. And I think it's a good thing for the HBCU culture.
And not only that rubric helps to educate. And so when we look at the rubric, I know when I look at the rubric, I'm looking at drum majors and I'm looking at how they're being judged. And so I'm able to take that rubric and I'm trying to incorporate that in my show to gain some points, but also it's a good teaching tool when you're looking at the musicality and you're looking at what directors think is musical. You know, you can add that into your rehearsals and it's a good thing.
I know Mr. Grant was here. I know exactly what he would say. And I'm going to say it for him. This is not a battle of the bands. This is something completely different. We are doing something that a battle of the bands is a showcase. You know, it's a competition, but it's also where we give feedback. Battle of the bands don't give feedback except from the fans. We give feedback, and we're about professional growth. We're about student growth. And Ms. Minaj, I asked the band directors that question in a survey. That when we made the final selection, that unlike the movie Drumline, which is said that there was a competition, there's never been a real competition on an annual basis for college bands. Think about that for a minute. Never. You know, you think it is. The fans have always decided, you know, who the champion was. A lot of band directors were very happy with it. But your history can't save you with this one. You know, this is about, you know, proving it on the field on a monthly basis. So this is not a battle of the bands. This is something very different, and it's also something that we feel like is going to be financially, for financial growth for the band programs and educational growth as well. So it's not a battle of bands.
And let me add also about the rubric. The rubric is based in research. It's just not band directors getting together and say blah 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 blah. It's based in research and what is the standard for being professional and quality and educational.
Charles Bishop again, inside the HBCU Sports Lab, and I wanted to ask about the rubric in regards to styles. It is in boxing parlance, they say, you know, styles make fights, and I wanted to ask, I guess when you look from conference to conference, is there a style that sort of fits itself to this Band of the Year competition. Especially when you take a look at North Carolina A&T, you have the auxiliaries, the flags, majorettes, whereas you might not have a band that has all of the accoutrements, if you will, of the band.
In the rubric, it's very specific about, and we can use auxiliary. It gives you exactly how you should judge the auxiliary, and that rubric will kind of go towards dance, majorette, flag, and all of that. So it gets kind of muddy when you got all of it, but
I agree with that as well. I also believe that if you're a band that doesn't have all the auxiliary, that doesn't preclude you from being a part of the auxiliary evaluation. Drum majors are part of that. You can have dancers. Almost every band has dancers. Everyone doesn't have flags. Everyone doesn't have majorettes. But whatever your auxiliary was, I remember the first year you guys did it in 2021. We didn't have all that stuff, but we were still evaluated in that auxiliary category. So I think that's important. As far as the rubric goes, again, it doesn't matter what the style is, whether it's swag or or all the different groupings. Good music is good music. When you're playing jazz, when you're cranking, when you're playing a ballad, all those different styles of music, it's still predicated on balance, blend, articulation, sound, projection. All those things are present, and no matter what music you're playing. And if it doesn't sound good, if you're out of tune, and if you ain't articulating right, that's gonna tell. It doesn't matter what the style is, those standards are across the board.
I want to say something about our committee, because that was one of the things that they talked about at length. How do you evaluate a band that marches in the style of Florida A&M versus a band that marches in the style of Southern University? And with the committee being so diverse, male, female, Division I, Division II, I just remember one of the statements being that we want the bands to be uniquely who they are. And one of the examples was when they see Southern University, they want Southern University to be Southern University. When they see Florida University, they want Florida A&M University to be, and they evaluate them based on a wide range, but ultimately, good is good and bad is bad. That's what it comes down to. So the style part of it, I think it's a beautiful thing. When you go to Mexico, you want to hear Mexican music. You don't want them to sound American. You go to Asia, you want to hear Asian music. You don't necessarily want them to sound. So we want those bands to be true to their culture, to their history, and we don't want them to all look the same or sound the same.
Good afternoon. Mr. Roberts, you mentioned that tomorrow's, you said it's not a competition. The performance.
It is a competition.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you
said
said
we're not a battle of the bands. The battle of bands is not a competition.
Okay,
It's a
yeah.
showcase. We are a competition.
So tomorrow's showcase, you mentioned would bring financial growth to all the bands. I wanted to ask the directors, what are some ways that the supporters can donate to the bands?
We'll start at the end.
First of all, Dr. Taylor Whitehead at Virginia State University, just proud to be here. For us, alumni have always been supportive of our program. We have ways that they can donate. We actually have a booster organization similar to a high school. They can donate that way. They can also donate directly to the band program. It all goes to our institutional advancement online through our website.
I think a good way for us to do that is to make sure that all of our opportunities to donate to the universities is broadcast through this publication, through the entire process. So I would suggest that we make sure our websites, our donation logs and links are available to the general public so that people who are supporting us can do that. I would suggest that. I also have a booster club that the fans could donate to as well.
same here, we have the Loyalty Foundation, which is our booster organization, and also it's linked from our website, from A&T's website. You can go into giving and go to band, and you can give that way.
Speaking of finance, I just want to shout out our executive director in terms of, people see me a lot in front, but the gentleman that really kind of was the brains behind this thing was Mr. John Grant. And speaking of finances, and when he asked me the question, I know he's asked these guys before, he said, what's the most money that you've ever received for a performance? And I think the most I've ever heard was maybe $25,000, maybe $30,000 that a band said. And he said, Don, what do you think would be a good thing? I said, well, maybe try to double it, go to at least 50,000. He said, no, I want to make it $100,000 for a program, $75,000. So, and he's made it happen. So I get a lot of credit. But speaking of finances, Mr. Grant, he's really going beyond pushing the envelope financially to be uncontested in terms of giving financial support to the band programs.
Ryan Shepard from Lockerverse. We've had a really great opportunity to partner with Band of the Year and to showcase a fan voting and fan engagement component. The 3 bands that are on the stage today were fan favorites throughout the year, and we're excited about the competition coming up this weekend. Don, I want you to talk a little bit about what the fans should expect from the format of the event, and then band directors, without giving away any of your secrets, what should the fans be looking forward to when you all take the field?
Well, I think that, and I may be wrong, I think we've educated the fans in our process. I see so many templates now that imitate what we're doing. At first it was this band was best, but now I see a lot of the polls from, the polls that are out there that mimic what we're doing. So I think the fans, in their own minds, they're going to be looking for the musicality. I think they're going to be watching the performances a lot closer. I think they're going to be looking at the auxiliaries and the percussion a lot closer. I think they're going to be looking at it a lot more intense than what they have been. But the biggest thing is, and I keep saying it, we got it right. And I just said, we got it right. I have the opportunity to have seen all these guys in their own private practices. And all I got to say is, be ready for excitement, be ready for energy. You're going to see these kids get emotional in terms of, you think a football team gets excited about coming into a game? Wait till you see these band members tomorrow. And you're going to see that the judges in our system worked and that we got it right.
Okay, for North Carolina A&T, I think the best word I could say is cohesion. The show from top to bottom is cohesive, incorporating all aspects of what we do. And so that's sight, sound, and entertainment.
With Virginia State University, the best word I can say is explosive. Virginia State University, Trojan, explosion, explosive. I think that Don has hit it on the head, and I think everyone that's coming tomorrow and everyone will get the opportunity to witness this will see that you have 4 outstanding bands. As HBCU band students, alumni, and directors, we all bias and love our programs. But what you're getting ready to see is the best of halftime entertainment. And so that's what this is all about tomorrow.
All right, for us, it's the roar. That says it enough. The roar comes from the king of beasts. We're not the largest animal in the jungle. Got elephants and giraffes. But we're definitely the most cunning, the strongest, and we have the loudest roar in the entire jungle. You can hear the roar 5 miles away. And I can tell you, you're going to get a quality sound for us, high energy, deliberate sound, deliberate execution. And I can assure you, you're going to enjoy our show tomorrow.
Hi, Nadira again. I guess this question is directed to Mr. Roberts. When you all initially started doing the rankings, I was one of the journalists that went out to the different schools and kind of interviewed a few of the different band directors. And we are very aware that this poll or this adjudication started happening without bands submitting themselves. It was just kind of like a voluntary thing where footage was found online and the band programs were adjudicated based off of the footage that was online. What do you have to say to those band directors who feel like the battle of the band model where no winner is announced, because technically this is an art form and art form is expressed in various ways? What do you have to say to those band directors who may not agree with bands being adjudicated or being placed in a first, second, or third place sort of ranking?
Times have changed. Times have changed.
Does either band director want to respond to the question?
Something John said earlier in our conversation, people don't know what they want until they get it. And sometimes, until we expose them to this concept, it's not gonna change until they see it. And then like Don said, they're gonna be an audience looking at the bands from a totally different perspective. Let me pay attention to drum major. Let me listen to the quality sound. Let me see the show format, because we've introduced them to it.
One quick question for the band director starting at the end. Can you guys talk about the exposure that this does not only for your band, but also for your university to kind of be on the stage like you're the last 4?
Absolutely. For us, as Virginia State, we're members of the CIAA, Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association. And as a band program, we often sit back and watch the band heads, the band world, really believe that only quality exists in two conferences, that being the MEAC and the SWAC. A lot of band directors, band heads only believe it's in the SWAC now. But we believe that quality can exist well beyond that. We have two programs on the stage that are not, well, three that are not in those conferences now. North Carolina A&T is no longer MEAC, Florida Memorial definitely not. And I think that for us, just the exposure of getting back on the national level. For Virginia State, it's been 11 years since we performed in the city of Atlanta. This is not an unfamiliar place. We've been here many times, but for smaller programs, a lot of times it's all about exposure. We don't play a lot of the big classic football games. Our football attendance is not 20 and 30,000 per game, but we just still want the opportunity to show that quality can exist. And it's not always about the number, the quantity, it is about the quality.
HBCUs come in a lot of different shapes, sizes, forms, and they have different impacts. On every HBCU campus has its own character, and I don't think that we should, bottle it into one specific way as the MEAC or the SWAC. Like all the HBCUs should be represented. This is the HBCU Band of the Year Championship. That means all HBCUs should be included, and I think you guys have done a great job embodying that.
Yeah, there was some discussion about whether A&T should be able to be a part of this because we're not SWAC or MEAC. However, we are an HBCU and the largest HBCU in the United States.
All right, young lady here, and we'll do two more after this one.
Nala with Post Game Politics and Immovable Productions. Dr. Beckford, you mentioned that you had 30 plus years of musical arranging, correct? Okay, so I wanted to ask all the directors, what is some advice that you would give to, the upcoming musical arrangers or the aspiring band directors that might be in the building tomorrow?
We'll start with Dr. Ruff and work our way down.
Okay, I'm gonna start with the musical arrangement part, and I'm just gonna be real about it. I hire somebody who arranges, because that's not my forte, all right? But if you are arranging, definitely hone in on your craft, and arrange, and talk to those people who have been arranging for 30 years, and seek some advice, and they'll help you grow.
Dr. Mayfield.
Like I said, I've been a music educator for 35 years and been arranging since I was in high school. I was one of the first student arrangers at Florida A&M University that actually got a chance to get the arrangements played. And one of the things, I'm just a student of the game. There's so many different ways to portray a particular arrangement. But most importantly for me, I think for any arranger, you have to make sure that the audience can actually identify the song and to connect with the song. There's certain elements in each song that the audience connects with. And sometimes I hear arrangements and it goes way outside of what the song, how the song was written, how the song was arranged. And I think the audience loses the connection with the song. So in my arrangement, I'm always trying to keep the audience connected to the song.
Dr. Whitehead.
One of the things I see, we have a new young generation of arrangers. A lot of them are being very creative, but Dr. Beckford just hit a key part of it. The audience wants to be able to recognize the music. And one of the biggest things that I would encourage young arrangers to do is just hone in on your skills. Learn the theoretical part of it. Become best friends with the piano. Because understanding that piano, you can understand chord structure, harmony, melody, and everything. But most importantly, to study the craft of those that come before us. A lot of people now are writing what they want to write, and they can't really put it on paper because they can put it on a computer and make it sound right. But they need to understand the theoretical part of it. And more importantly, just because you can write it doesn't mean that a band can play it. A lot of people are writing things that they know that the band can't play. You want to write what is going to make your band sound good and for the instrumentation that you have for your program.
Charles Bishop again, Dr. Beals inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I want to ask this question to you, Dr. Ruff, especially in regards to how has the transition to the CAA been with regards to your band program, especially in looking at how the audience has changed for you?
Well, it's different. Of course, our game, the field is different, because we're not don't have all that HBCU, everybody, band. But when we travel and we do play in different arenas, they're very receptive and they love us and they actually give us standing ovations because it's new and different for them. We try to make sure that we are still true to being an HBCU band and doing those things that we've always done. When we perform for the audience. So it's not a black thing, a white thing, a gray thing. We always are gonna put on a show and we're always gonna try to entertain.
All right, final question right here.
This is maybe just a little.
Sorry, who are you with, sir?
Stephen Gaither, HBCU Game Day. How you guys doing? Just a real fun question. What's one song that's being played today by bands that you think will be being played in 25 years?
Start with Dr. Whitehead.
I'm gonna go real, talking outside your neck. Some things we just don't lose. A lot of people want to lose them, but they're, HBCU bands are the heartbeat and of our campus environments. And some things have just stuck around for a long period of time, and they just become a part of our culture, particularly KK Side, TBS. A lot of those organizations have adopted some of those songs as almost the band theme song. So that's the one I think will survive.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's all I got to say. When it comes to what's going to be relevant in band for decades and years in history, is Earth, Wind, and Fire. They were written for band. And I think that it doesn't matter what song they play. I think that's going to resonate for decades to come.
I would say Luther, anything Luther Vandross is always going to be hitting on the field because it's always musical and the crowd loves it.
Well, gentlemen, we thank each and every one of you for your time and you all for being here. And on behalf of all HBCUs, as an HBCU alum, I look forward to the excitement on tomorrow. I can't wait.